to work at Trader Joe's is what else can I do to hummus that will make everyone roll in their graves?
Do you remember for a while they would call their Italian foods like
Trader Giotto's? Yeah.
I always wanted a Trader Muhammad's, but I guess it was racist.
Yeah, they got in
trouble when they said Trader Jose. Trader Mo would be really funny.
Trader Mo's is so good. Yeah.
Come on.
Trader Abdullah. You could really go crazy with it.
Hello and welcome to Cleopatra. I'm Christy Bono. Why am I yelling?
And I'm Lynn Molly, not yelling, and this is a podcast about two Middle Eastern comedy queens digging up the funny from the first generation experience.
Our guest today, oh my goodness, she's a good friend of ours. She's a regular at the Hollywood Improv, and she's an amazing person and one half of the Hilarious Habibis duo. Please give it up for Gena B. Jones. Woo!
I looked at the camera. Hi.
Him it up. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is my Saturday. This is my day off.
Yay.
So here we are.
We're so excited to have you. We've been wanting to have you for 4 months now.
Yeah. I love you guys. I love this pod. I was listening on the way here, so happy to be a part of it.
Yay. Okay, so usually how we start is by rewinding back in time to your family history. Mm-hmm. So it could start with grandparents. It could start with parents. I mean, if you are very narcissistic, you could start with you. I don't know. But we love the parent story and kind of how they came here and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I'll start with my dad, who you all know. You guys,
his reputation precedes him.
I haven't met him, but I was in the audience when he heckled you.
When he heckled me at a show. Yeah, that was iconic. That moment in stand-up is to date my most viral clip. So I think I should invite my father to more of my shows where he can interrupt. Yeah, so my dad is a Syrian immigrant. He was born in Aleppo, Syria, and he lived kind of all over. So he lived in Aleppo for a while, and then he lived in Algeria for a while. That was Skikta, Algeria, I believe. And then he spent some time in Paris, France, and then he eventually settled in St. Louis, Missouri.
Ooh, Arab capital.
Yeah, right. He was pretty young. So that's kind of like, my dad's very Americanized at this point. I think his mom and his sister landed in St. Louis when they were, I think my dad was like 7 or 8. So like he doesn't have an accent really even. So he's been a U.S. citizen for a long time. But it's really cool because he's kind of lived all over. And then my mom, she is half Mexican, half white. And her father is the Mexican one. And they are Chicanos, which means they've basically lived in what has been Texas for most of what we know. So it's not like they came over from Mexico at any point in recent history. Like they've just been...
The border crossed them.
Exactly. They've been in that area for like generations and generations. So those are my parents. They're awesome. And then I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., me and my sister both.
So how did your parents meet, and how did the families do with the cross of cultures?
Cross of cultures. Well, it's so funny because I don't know about you guys. No, it's just a fact at this point. There's so many Arab Latino mixes.
Yes.
Have you guys noticed?
Selma Hayek.
Did you guys see that meme? And Shakira.
Shakira, an icon.
Did you guys see that meme I posted just yesterday where it was like, this is the worldwide Latina belt?
Oh, yes.
I meant to send it to you, Christy, because I know you have your joke about how everyone thinks you're a Latina. And the meme was basically saying like, the worldwide Latina belt is South America, Central America, and basically most of the Middle East.
North Africa, yeah.
Yeah, even including Greece and obviously the Philippines. That should have been number one. So that crossover is very common. They met in college. My dad was a grad student and my mom was an undergrad. They both went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta. They're both engineers.
Oh.
Put it on the
bingo card.
Oh, what?
We have a
It's like
proverbial
every immigrant
engineer.
parent.
Yeah.
An engineer. Also, I think we need to add speaks French to the bingo card. Parents speak French.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that. That was gonna be one of my talents, even though I
Ooh.
don't think it's a talent. Haven't even used it.
For
It's-
Americans at this point, speaking any other language is like a superpower.
Yeah,
You
the bar
are a
is low.
Marvel hero if you are not just a monolingualist.
Yeah. So they met at Georgia Tech. My dad was a computer science grad student. My mom was a systems engineer undergrad, and they met through a mutual friend. So that's where they met, and then they came to DC pretty soon after that. Got married, had me, and then had my sister 3 years after that. And we've lived in DC since I was born.
Your dad's parents, are they still around?
Yeah.
And where are they based? Because I'm guessing not Aleppo anymore.
No, so my dad's mom is very glam and cool Syrian grandmother who has lived in Paris for 30 years.
Dreams.
And she is like the embodiment of an Arab woman in Paris. I just love her. And then my dad's dad has been in Fairfax, Virginia for quite some time, since I was born. So yeah, I mean, up until recently, my dad's mom's family, for the most part, was in Syria. And then just like in the last few years, they've either come back to France or to the US. But she loves Paris, and she used to obviously she used to visit Syria at least once a year. Hasn't been that way in a while, but she likes Paris. She's a Parisian lady.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Do you visit?
I visit, a lot. It's I have such an advantage, like being able to go to Paris and have a place to stay, and just knowing how to make your way around there is awesome. My parents love it. Like, we love going as a family to visit her. It's just the best.
My parents also lived in Paris in between the Syria-America journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
All the global citizen Arabs. It's like, that's stop number one, you know?
Also, my mom gets a huge kick out of everyone being like, your French is so good when we're in France.
Oh, to her?
Yeah, she loves it.
Oh, because like people don't expect
I
her
think
to be.
so, yeah.
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 It's like, hello, most of us do speak it.
Right. I'll say that I think it's just so common now that when I was, the last time I was in Paris, I was taking a train from, I guess I was in Switzerland. And when we were crossing the border on the train, I was sitting next to an Asian woman, and her passport was checked and mine was not. And then she turned to me and said,
Whoa.
they checked my passport and not yours because you could be French, because there are a lot of like French Middle Eastern.
Yeah, whoa,
people.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
They went around and just, did like a quick little racial profile.
Yeah.
And they didn't check my passport, but she's like, there are so many people that look like you that are Parisian. And I was like, oh, that's
Especially
cool.
in Paris. Like, the moment you leave Paris, it's like a different society
It's so
entirely. Like, well, I will say, when you leave Paris, a lot of the other cities in France are obviously much, much less diverse, but people are way nicer.
Yeah.
People in Paris are so mean.
And they speak a lot slower when you leave Paris. I can actually have a conversation in French.
Like,
when
they're
I
trying to
leave
help you
Paris.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no thing, like how rude Parisians are,
Yeah.
but I kind of like it. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
abuse me. It's so sexy. It's like such that like French thing of like, we're too good for you.
I was just in Paris doing stand-up comedy, and I did a joke about fuckboys, and it has never landed harder than in Paris, because they were like, we relate to this. These are our men.
They're all just going through it.
Yeah.
My way of not standing out was just to look pissed all the time on the metro.
Oh,
Just
yeah. Just be a little grumpy.
Just look annoyed by everybody's presence. And I really fit in. I felt like I was like, just kept my mouth shut most of the time. But
Yeah.
every now and then I tried to like make a broken French joke to like some stranger, and they were not having it.
Did they respond in English? Because they love to do that. Like, you try your best to speak in French, and they're like, English menu. We will bring you the
Exactly.
English.
It's like, yeah,
And you're
fair.
like, I was making sense. That's my mom when she travels with us, because my dad's fluent in Arabic, French, and English. Also, his mom, my grandma, fierce, she's fluent in English, French, Arabic, and Turkish.
Nice.
And like sometimes we make fun of like the way she like remembers certain English expressions or whatever, and then we have to be like, guys, she knows 4 languages.
Right,
calm down.
exactly.
But my poor mom, because she has tried so hard to learn French over the years, and she is like good. Like she got like pretty solid at it.
Mhm.
Of course, has like a strong American accent, and like when she tries to order something in French in a cafe, it's just like they're not gonna
That's
go
so funny
for it.
because Spanish and French are both Latin languages. But I will say I did try to learn Spanish at one point, and I studied French for a very long time. And they're almost so similar
They're so similar
that it's like it like starts to like mess with your brain.
no, yeah, they're so similar because I took Spanish in high school and I thought it was a piece of cake just because like I had already spoken a bunch of French. I think people think Spanish and Italian are closer, but like I thought Spanish and French were almost identical. It was
I
weird.
never understood why anyone in my LA school took French.
I don't understand why I took French,
was-
to be honest.
But there's this, like, especially in LA, there's just like so much Spanish spoken in
Yeah.
the city, and people were like, you know what? Actually, counterculture.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go ahead and do the whitest thing possible.
It's like people just it's on their vision board to be like a world traveler.
before
across
there was
Europe.
Emily in Paris.
Yeah, like people think I'm gonna spend summers in Cannes and Nice. Like I need to know my way around. It's like
Yeah. Before there was Emily in Paris, there was Ashley in LA.
yeah.
Who like really wants to spend a summer.
Yeah.
So going back, how was your family with the cultural cross of the two with your mom and your dad? Because I feel like Christie's experience and my experience with our parents very much stayed in the
Stayed in
Yeah,
the
'cause I
in
have
the
Syrian
community
mom,
because there's
Syrian
no
dad. Yeah.
crossover. Yeah. I mean, it was never like an issue. All of my grandparents are still alive, and all of them.
Wow, what a
have-
blessing.
Yeah.
I don't think I know anybody whose all grandparents are still alive.
Yeah, it's a huge blessing. Good genes. Hi.
especially for Arab men. I feel like that's impressive.
Yeah, they're just like wearing
Right.
themselves down at every moment.
Yeah.
Especially my dad's mom, my Syrian grandmother was always very just like progressive, open-minded about stuff. And I mean, my mom's side of my family, like she has a Mexican dad and a Midwestern mom. So that's already a crossover right there. So there's never going to be like
They'd already broken the seal.
yeah, there's never going to be a situation like please marry within your culture. So it was never an issue. And
Was there ever a war between your mom and dad over who cooks better food?
well, my dad never really cooked when I was growing
You
up.
didn't have Middle Eastern mom food. Oh no.
No, and it was let me tell you this. My dad is I don't want my mom to hear this, but hi mom, if you're listening, love you.
We'll find out her IP address and block her specifically. Speak freely.
I think my dad is the better cook, but he would not cook. So like my dad would cook like 3 times a year, and it'd be like on my mom's birthday,
Oh.
on Mother's Day, and then like maybe when my mom was out of town.
Mm.
And he's really good at cooking, like especially like meats, like
Oh,
Yeah.
any sort of fish or meat. Like if he makes like a salmon, it's like amazing.
Oof.
My mom was the one who cooked all the time, and her food was good, but I don't often like long for my mother's cooking.
Oh, that's what keeps me up at night is longing for my mother's cooking.
See, and we didn't have like the food in the house was never one particular like strongly cultural type of food.
It was DC. It was just Ben's chili bowl all the time. Once a week.
Oh my god, I do miss Ben's chili bowl. Yeah, so that's my take. I think my dad's better.
Every time you do a joke about how you don't cook, in my head I'm like, oh yes, Gena has the Middle Eastern father. 'Cause your Middle Eastern mother would not let that
would
slide.
not tolerate that at all. No, I'm really bad, you guys. I mean, I can make scrambled eggs.
It's okay. Reem said she likes to heat up Trader Joe's things exclusively, and I
was
appreciate
doing that for a long time. Yeah.
If people just want to go out to eat, like, I support. Let them live, I say.
Yeah. And I kind of blame my apartment too, because I have a studio apartment and I have like a kitchen, like a separate kitchen, but it's not big enough to like really like experiment. I was really thought, even though I haven't cooked anything in ages, I was craving. Have you guys ever had their they're these like dim sum buns that are mostly sweet and they're egg custard buns?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I just like I've had them a bunch before, but just last week I was craving them like 3 days in a row, and I picked them up a bunch, and then I somehow tried to gaslight myself into thinking I could maybe make buns.
What? That's very funny.
Very ambitious, because I looked up the recipe. I haven't looked up a recipe in years, and I looked up the recipe for that, and the egg custard part isn't hard to make, but I thought I could, like, making a bun is serious business. Like, that's bread, you guys.
Yes.
And I was like, oh wow, I was Delulu. Like, I can't believe I got this far, like, actually reading the recipe.
That's really funny.
I also have a hard theory that, like, you can't make the food, like, an Asian food like that needs to be made by an Asian mama, and then Middle Eastern food needs to be made by a Middle Eastern mama, and like a grilled cheese needs to be made by Martha in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, I can't make a proper.
We gotta gatekeep those.
Martha in Kentucky.
Martha in Kentucky puts
Martha,
mayo
if you're listening,
on
please
both
sponsor us.
Ariana did say butter on both sides, bitches.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
I just
her
heard that when I
direct,
listened. It's funny you brought up grilled cheeses, because I just, again, recently, like, that's been one of my favorite things to get, and I have compared various grilled cheeses throughout LA.
Okay, what's the top grilled cheese in LA?
To me, the top one is at Astro Family Diner.
That is
We
my
were just talking
favorite
about
diner in Los Angeles.
It's the best. It's open 24 hours. You can go like Saturday at like 2 a.m. after you've like gone out, and it's always like there's always space available, and they have their menu is like 10 pages long, but everything's good. Everything's good. They have one of the best grilled cheeses.
They have a burger club, which is excellent.
Ooh.
Yeah, and very unique.
Okay, yeah, I want to try that. Fred 62, I'm not a huge fan of theirs because they use sourdough and like some other type of cheese. Like, I'm a classic. I need like white bread and like American cheese for my grilled cheese.
That's your white quarter.
Exactly. Manifesting itself.
I need there to be at least 50% microplastics in my grilled cheese at all times. No, I'm like a bougie. I want like the weird, interesting cheese.
The
and
grayer.
some sort of, exactly. I want there to be 3 different types of cheeses. I want there to be some sort of aioli or remoulade.
Interesting. See, like this is just one of the few foods where I'm like, I don't want anything special about it. I went to in London. Have you guys? There's this like viral like sandwich place, cheese place in London in like this outdoor market. It's called Capicayson, and they're like world renowned grilled cheeses, and you have to wait in line for like an hour and a half.
Classic.
Which I did. Yeah, I did that.
And the Brits tolerate that.
Yeah.
You would think you know what I mean? Like, you'd think they just, I feel like the only people who have that kind of fucking bandwidth to wait that long is a Californian.
Right.
You're just like, oh my God, but the hype. Like, I feel like a British person would be like, no, that's
they have
nonsense.
jobs, unlike
They
in
have
California.
common sense. I don't know.
We're freelancers. We can wait.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like one of those places that's outdoor. It's like they serve out of a window.
How was it?
It was really good, but like I was like, I want my classic, because they use some kind of like oh God, I forgot what the cheese is called, but like kind of a fancy upscale cheese, and then a bread that isn't just, it's kind of like a crispy bread that isn't obviously just American sliced white bread. And I was like, this is really good, but like, I don't know, Astro Family Restaurant always has my heart.
Flashback to a previous episode with Joe Abusakar. You think he's making them with cottage cheese in the middle?
Oh my God.
He's unhinged with his cottage cheese.
Joe believes that cottage cheese is the best cheese.
You know what's funny? Most people hate cottage cheese, but the people who like it are psychotic about it.
Yeah.
Dave Merhej's new movie, the girl in the movie, like
we had a very similar conversation. Yeah, it was the exact same conversation. It was very strange. I was like, it's not really a cheese, it's a curd.
It's a
and
curd.
then we went and watched this movie, Sometimes I Think About Dying, starring Dave Merhej.
yes, check it
see
out.
Our Habibi friend. Go see it. And they have a remarkably identical conversation. We had actually recorded that episode before we went and saw that movie.
With Joe.
Yeah.
So Joe loves cottage cheese.
Yeah. Cottage cheese is in the zeitgeist right now.
Yeah.
It's in the air.
Is it making a comeback?
Yeah.
Is that like a Tennessee thing? Isn't he from Tennessee?
Yeah.
Grew up in Tennessee.
He is.
I'm
I don't
just
know.
throwing around stereotypes. I don't know if Tennessee people eat cottage cheese.
I like to think of this podcast as an origin of stereotypes.
Yeah.
I'd like us to actually start the rumors.
Yeah.
Cottage cheese always feels very disordered eating to me because it was like a staple of my disordered
yeah.
eating days.
Yeah.
That and
I
like
agree.
cups of like Dannon yogurt.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Isn't it wild what we thought was healthy growing up? Remember the fat-free
Oh
craze
yeah.
where they like the Lay's
Splenda.
Alestra? There was
Oh,
like
I don't remember that.
So this was slightly before your time, but in the, I want to say like late 90s, early 2000s, everything was fat-free, but what actually ended up happening was that they just had so much more sugar. So like Snackwells and like Lay's that are
Right.
fat-free, but it was just like terrible for you.
And like
Mhm.
chemicals. I
Right.
had a friend eat an entire bag of the fat-free chips, and she got so
Sick.
sick.
Yeah.
She's like, I didn't mean
It's
to.
really bad. And now, whatever, we're always going back. No matter what happens, I'm never disabused of the notion that just eating real foods that are not processed
Yeah.
and just
That's if you go that route, you'll be fine.
right.
I mean, is that not what our Middle Eastern ancestors did? My grandma famously never ate anything out of a can. She lived a very long life.
Not
looked
even a
great.
sardine or an anchovy.
Nope,
No.
not a single
Wow.
thing.
My dad is such a snob whenever we go somewhere and we get grape leaves.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
And because I don't think I've ever, maybe once or twice. I think once or twice I've had like a fresh one, but usually they are canned.
Yeah.
Even if they serve them in restaurants. And that's like the first thing he says when like we order them.
Wow.
He's like,
Wait,
"These are
you've
canned."
only had like once or twice a freshly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because
Okay.
like most places we go, even if
didn't
it's
know
in a restaurant, they're not going to tell you. But my dad always identifies it. He's like, these are canned because
Yeah.
most of the
You
time the
can always
fresh ones, they're not wrapped properly.
Mhm.
Like they're kind of it's like a
Loose.
messy wrap. And if they're perfectly wrapped into like a perfect shape, usually those are canned ones.
In defense of the canned ones, the dolmas from Trader Joe's are excellent.
Right.
Kibbeh from Trader Joe's too. Have you guys had?
Not
Mm-mm.
bad.
Honestly, not
Not-
bad
Not
at all.
the best, but even my parents buy them, and
Yeah.
my parents, they got the kanafe ones, and they're like, no, thank
No,
you.
when you're in a pinch, like it's a good thing to just pop in the oven.
the only Middle Eastern thing I'll delve in with Trader Joe's is the hummus. But
Really, for me, strong no on their hummus.
well, they have so many different types of
Yeah.
hummuses. There's the Mediterranean one, there's the original one, there's the organic one.
There's the chocolate hummus.
That's not
Which-
hummus.
Authentic.
My dad almost disowned me when I showed him a
No.
photo that I was eating it. It was pandemic, guys. Okay,
I
things
know.
have gone off the rails.
I
That's
think
just Nutella, right?
Yeah.
to work at Trader Joe's is what else can I do to hummus that will make everyone roll in their graves?
Do you remember for a while they would call their Italian foods like
Trader
Giotto's?
Giotto's, yeah.
I always wanted a Trader Muhammad's, but I guess it was
got in
racist.
trouble.
Yeah,
they got in trouble
trouble
when they said
Yeah.
Trader Jose.
I
yeah,
would
and they had
love
like Trader Mings or something. And I
Yeah,
was like,
they got in trouble for that.
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought
would
it was
feel
cute,
very
too.
represented.
Trader Jose's is also just such a direct translation
Translation.
that I'm not. as-
Trader Mo would be really funny.
Come
Trader
on,
Moe's
right?
is so good. Yeah.
Come on, Trader Adnan.
Trader Abdullah. They could really go crazy with it.
Lightning round. What is your favorite Trader Joe's snack? I'll start. Unexpected cheddar.
Oh, I haven't had that.
It's so good.
What is it? Cheese or like
It
a
is
chip?
cheese.
What's unexpected about it?
It's so unexpectedly good.
So it's
It's
just
Hall
a
of
block
Fame.
of cheddar.
It's a block of cheddar, and it's deceptively good, and it's savory and nutty, and it is in their Hall of Fame.
when you have it, do you just kind of like slice a piece out of the block and just eat it?
Yep,
Like,
it's that kind of cheese. It's that kind of cheddar, and it's like really
Mm.
crumbly too, and it goes well, and it's staple.
I really like their Greek spanakopita's. I think they're good.
Ooh.
Okay,
That's another thing you put in the
Yeah.
oven.
those are good. I've had those.
I think I stand with the grape leaves, especially if you like get some labneh and like make a little
Ooh,
spread.
doobie dip. Oh yeah, it's great. Those are always in my pantry at any given time. I wanted to check in on, so we did your parents' history. So you grew up in the DC area, like in the city or in a suburb
In the
outside?
city. I'm very
Oh,
proud of
wow.
that.
I
I'm
want to know
very
what
proud of that.
neighborhood, because I've lived in like 5 different neighborhoods in DC.
Yeah, I grew up in Adams Morgan, which is close to DuPont Circle, and there's always a debate within DC culture because so many people say they're from DC and then they're actually from Maryland or Virginia.
Right, of course.
I am a homegrown,
Yes.
born and
Yeah,
raised
you are.
DC
Yeah.
girl. I'm so proud of that.
I always have to say I'm from New Jersey, approximately 30 minutes outside of New York City, or else people get extremely upset.
If you say New York
Yes.
area,
yeah.
Same with
I
LA,
think-
actually. When I
Yeah.
say I'm from LA, they're like, everyone gets mad when people are like, "Where in LA?" and they're like, "La Cañada." I don't know. We're
Yeah.
like, we're just like, "Where in LA?" or "Where in DC?"
Simi
West
Valley.
Hyattsville, Maryland.
Right. Oh my God. I've been there.
DC, I feel like, is pretty diverse. So you probably had a pretty, like, not terrible,
Yeah.
racist growing up experience, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, DC is incredibly diverse. And in fact, up until recently, when it got really gentrified and like more white, just these last few years, DC was known as Chocolate City, and had a majority.
I like that you were saying that as if we've never heard that.
I've never heard
Oh,
that.
you've never heard
That's
Chocolate
news
City?
to
Oh,
me.
okay. Oh, okay. You were sorry. Okay, then good. Then
I wanted to
That's
be
like
clear
saying,
just
like-
because people don't call it that anymore.
right.
It sounds like a very racist terminology.
Right,
Well, right.
Is it
And then when
not?
Obama became president, they called it like the Oreo within an Oreo city or whatever, because they were
Mhm.
like Chocolate City with a white center.
Yeah, so my neighborhood, I love the neighborhood I grew up in so much. It's very urban. I didn't live in like a kind of like suburban area. We had a townhouse, and just when you walk down the block, you're like on a kind of like commercial strip with
How
like bars and
cool.
restaurants. Yeah, and there's a big Ethiopian presence right there.
Huge. I
Yeah.
heard it's like the largest. Well, at the time when I was living there, they said it was the largest Ethiopian
Yeah.
population outside of Ethiopia.
Yeah, DC and Silver Spring, Maryland are like a big community.
Ethiopian food is the absolute best.
So actually, when I go home every time, there is a restaurant called Karen K-E-R-E-N, not
Yeah,
Karen.
where every waiter is the manager. So you're always speaking to them.
But I love it because it's almost like half fast food Ethiopian, and everything's super cheap, and you can get super full really quickly. So yeah, there were a lot of Ethiopians, a lot of Latinos, a lot of Black Americans, and I love my high school. I loved my high school experience. I much preferred my high school experience to my college experience.
Wow.
Get out.
I literally loved high school so much. I loved all my friends. I loved the community. I loved like the environment, the teachers, whatever. My high school was incredibly diverse.
Cool.
White kids were in the minority. I think it was like a 60% Black high school. And my high school was just like so much fun. Like it was a public high school. And then I went to a very elitist, very white, very like wealth-focused college.
Where'd you go?
I went to the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
In
I
Philly,
knew that.
which could not have gotten out of there faster.
Wow.
I'm like, if I like want to, colleges ask you for money all the time.
Yeah.
Like I haven't given them a penny. I want to give money to my high school, but it's a public high school, so I don't know if that like means anything. But yeah, I had a great high school experience.
That's so wild to me. My
Isn't
high
it
school was so
crazy?
toxic.
You might be the
and
first person I've ever met who preferred
Who's
high
like,
school.
I
Yeah.
love high
Gloria.
school.
She.
Oh, yeah. Glory. She also was the queen of her high
Homecoming
school. She was the prom queen, and she was also.
I can see that for
Yeah.
her.
She grew up in New York. I feel like maybe if we had grown up but you grew up in LA, but it seems like your school was very much a private school. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you were saying your high school was Lynn. I interrupted you.
It was just, very toxic, very like the high school movies where like there's like the mean girls. Yeah. And like being, it was very classist and being diverse. Like I pretended that I was white, and that's basically how I got by. I remember a few times, do you know how I've heard Jewish people use this term called bageling, where it's like if you sense someone else is Jewish, you like ask them like leading questions to find out if they are. Like you're like, so did you go to summer camp as a kid?
Interesting.
So I feel like I got maybe like bageled by the Latin community a few times, but I think that's called tortillaing.
Interesting.
And I'm pretty sure in Middle Eastern culture it would be falafeling.
Or pitaing, if we're sticking with bread products.
Yes.
But there were no other Arabs at
There
your school?
was one Iranian girl. I remember she was older. And then I think that was it.
She was older.
She was 35.
She was just this like 45-year-old like trying to get her life together and get her GED. Is what it sounded like that show Strangers with Candy.
Oh my
gosh.
Amy Sedaris goes back to high school as a 45-year-old.
Or there's always like, not really applies to women, but there's always like that creepy guy who like doesn't go to your high school, but he's maybe like 25 and he always hangs out near your high school and he like sells everyone weed, and you're like, when you're young, you think that's like cool. You're like, oh my God, he's so cool.
Right.
And then like you grow up and you're like, that guy was a predator.
Right.
But yeah, I had a good experience. To be clear, there weren't really Arabs at my high school, but it was such a diverse place that like it didn't matter. Everyone could just be themselves no matter what they were. So.
So college, do we want to take UPenn down now?
Yeah. It would be nice for this to be out in the public sphere. That way they can maybe stop hounding me for donations every week.
What did you study?
I studied cognitive science which is kind of like it's kind of like psychology. It's like it's like if psychology trying to be a little more useful, I guess.
Right.
But it's not. And part of my degree was computer science, so I took a bit of computer science classes. And then my act of rebellion was I did do a minor in fine arts, which was like the only thing that kept me sane.
Nice.
At school.
How fine are we talking here?
Huh?
How fine we talking here?
We're talking photography. We're talking graphic design. I wasn't like painting with little brushes. I'm like, not that
fine
good.
arts. I don't know why, but to me, I just picture somebody painting a tiny piece of furniture.
No, I took the most, I guess you could say, in a way, it's like the easiest thing to get into because it's like everyone can like take a photo. I still can't draw anything.
You do make a great flyer though.
See, it is useful.
Yeah.
Take that, parents. That fine arts minor is useful. Okay, I did use it.
It is amazing how like comedy requires you to pull out from left field so many other types
like
of skills. It's just like amazing how we have to pull stuff out of nowhere. And so it was useful for you. And flyers are amazing.
I still use it. So that was my major and minor. The school is obviously very elitist, very white. Yeah, I think the thing that bothered me the most was just like how wealthy so many people were and how much that dictated like what social events were like. And then I think so it was that was like a big problem, and I think the other biggest problem was just how little the school valued like any person who didn't want to pursue finance or medicine or law. Like it drove me insane. I remember the summer before my senior year, I really wanted to do an internship in Hollywood. So I ended up working part-time for a producer, which was unpaid. Unpaid internship.
Wow.
And I tried like desperately to get my college to like give me some sort of like a stipend or something, like, hey, I'm pursuing this thing and I just need like a little bit of money for like housing or whatever. And there was just like no resource available at all. Like I was just left like
I feel like colleges really didn't look at Middle Eastern as a diversity at all when we were applying.
No, not at all.
My mom just told me a story about my brother is like a genius, like perfect score SATs style genius. And when he was applying to colleges, my mom said she went through like a 55-page financial packet and looked for a single scholarship that would apply to my brother and could not find a single one.
Right.
Yeah, because we checked the box as being white.
Yeah, because of the census.
Yeah.
Right.
I was fortunate enough to check the box
Yeah,
being Hispanic.
Right.
Yay.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
My parents very much were also like, put Caucasian. They're like, they don't like us, put Caucasian. And I was like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Do you remember there was a push like around 2000 and like I think it was like 2002 or around that census, like right after 9/11, where they were like, should Middle Eastern people be their own box? And there was kind of controversy around it because like, yes, there should be representation and counting for purposes of like, this is a population, but then there was also fear about, you know, post 9/11 anti-Arab sentiment.
Right.
You
Got
know.
it.
During COVID, I saw an article that it is important to separate Middle Eastern because for COVID research and care, a lot of Middle Eastern people live in like big extended family situations.
Okay.
Like, you know, multiple generations in one home. And the fact that they weren't separating those was just problematic from a healthcare standpoint. And I was like, yeah, we count.
Yeah, there are a lot of reasons to count people as separate on the census. But
Census podcast.
yeah, really.
I did want to raise that I think you should read a book by this woman. It's a graphic novel. Her name's Malaka Gharib. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And she's half Filipino and half Egyptian. And she had a very similar experience to yours where she went to a very diverse high school in LA. And she said the first thing people would ask when you met them was like, where are you from? Where's your parents from? Where are you from?
Oh,
and then she went to
wow.
Brown and she was like, I'm everyone's like diversity hire friend. And she felt so uncomfortable. And it's a graphic novel where you will like sob in the middle of. Highly recommend.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
I do have to ask, how did you end up in LA then? You were working for a producer.
Yeah, that was a summer internship. So I should probably mention, shout out, one of the only things that kept me sane at college was I was in a sketch group. It was an all-female sketch group called Bloomers. They
Nice.
still exist. They're still doing the damn
Cool.
thing.
Shout out.
Really cool group. Vanessa Bayer from SNL is an alumni. We have a bunch of really cool alums, like TV writers, some actors and stuff. That was like the only thing that kept me sane. I was in it for all 4 years. And it was a very like big time commitment. I was writing, I was acting, I directed some shows for them. And so junior year of college is when you start to ask yourself, like, what do I want to do professionally? Where am I going to move? And it was because of like that sketch group that we had a bunch of kind of pre-professional events and like career talks about like pursuing entertainment. And at my college, that was not at all a outlet that they wanted to like advertise as being possible. Like they just didn't want graduates to like go into film and TV. But because of like this sketch group, I got to learn like, oh my God, you can write for TV professionally, or like you can actually pursue something like acting, or you can pursue comedy professionally, which was really cool. So after I did the summer internship, I was like, I really like LA. And so my thought was, why don't I keep my options open, have like a day job, and then also pursue like comedy? Part of the reason I didn't go to New York was because I hated my college so much, and everyone from there moves to New York right after school. And from what I know, like the people who move to New York from college literally hang out with each other still to this day. It's just like a
Network.
yeah, it's totally like a second version of college. And I was like, I need to get the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
I also can't really tolerate New York for more than like 4 days. So after I realized like, oh, I could pursue this kind of stuff, but like my family wants me to have a real job, I moved out here, got like a job in tech, and was just like doing stand-up at night, which I mean, so many people do it that way.
Right.
So that's kind of why I came out here. And also my boyfriend, who I met in college, he was a year older than me at school, and he moved out here first. So I was kind of like, I'll just
that's
move
nice.
out to like join him out here.
Oh, that's
basically.
awesome. So you had like
I had someone here, which was great.
You were also, I think, the first other Arab comic I met in the scene.
Really?
I think maybe Mike Ishak probably I had met before.
You met me before Ahmed?
I think so.
Interesting.
I remember I was at a mic and Gena was there, and after she DM'd me and she was like, I'm Syrian too. And I was like, what?
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was pretty early on.
Yeah. It was at the library mic. I very specifically.
The Echo Park Library.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I kind of missed that one.
It was
that was
fun
kind of
mic.
wholesome.
Yeah.
It was like, because we had like real audience.
Yeah. People would like wander off the street to the library and
watch
into
the
this
mic.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I got here.
And the rest
And
is
then
her
she started
story.
a very impressive comedy show called Hilarious Habibis
Very
at the Hollywood
highly
Improv.
successful, highly anticipated.
Woo! That's amazing. Which I will plug
Yeah,
is
it's
going
like-
to be part of the Netflix is a Joke Festival.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. That's going to be so cool. We're going to pivot to some questions. All of our questions are obviously based on Cleopatra, as you noticed. So the first one is, she viewed herself as a living goddess.
Mm-hmm.
What is a time that you thought of yourself as supernatural, or what is a weird talent or useless talent you have?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered it because I was going to go with the useless talent, and that is speaking French.
How is that useless, though? That's not useless.
Because I never use it anymore. Like, you just, I don't know. I would have much rather been taught Arabic than French.
Right.
Much
Me too.
rather. Because even when you're not going to the Middle East, like, I think Arabic is useful to know in the United States. But then I'm also like, if I had been fluent in Arabic and was living in America, I would probably have been recruited to work for the CIA at this point.
Right. I took an Arabic class at Berkeley for 2 years because I wanted to learn how to read and write. And there were a lot of people who were part of the military and or going to work for the military.
Like white
or
people?
Like, yeah. So it was a really interesting divide of like people who were going to work for the fucking
Right.
CIA and then people who were like, people like me who were just like, I want to learn how to write my name and
Yeah.
say things.
I do a joke about this, but I did take Islam in college, and the teacher was white.
Yes.
Oh my God. Wait, have you guys heard Fizza Dasani's joke? It's my like favorite joke of hers ever,
No.
where she was like, every time I meet a white Muslim, I just assume they've been to prison. Which is so true. When you see like a white guy who's converted to Islam, you're like, what happened to you?
Yeah. There's a story here. Yeah. Okay, next question.
So Cleopatra wasn't actually Egyptian. She had more Grecian roots, but she moved to Egypt and embraced a lot of the customs. So this is a two-part question. The first part is, what is a custom from your culture that you can't seem to shed? And then what's an American culture you've super adopted?
First of all, I love this about Cleopatra because I love she's like, Cleopatra's basically a cultural appropriator.
Yes.
That's her legacy. Okay, so it's kind of a three-parter. I was going to say, let's start with American custom. That clearly is such an American thing. I eat in my car. I drink my coffee in my car. I eat in my car sometimes. Like if it's like I'll pick something up and then it's right before a show, I'll just have my meal in the car, which is very American and is clearly such a sin to like any other culture.
Right.
Even just the coffee on the go thing. Like
Right.
in France, for instance, you can't really get a to-go cup
Right.
for your coffee.
Same with Italy.
Yeah, like you are supposed to go into your cafe, sit down, and finish your coffee in the cafe environment, take it all in, watch people walk by. And obviously that's way healthier. Like you want every meal, even if it's just a coffee, should be like an experience. And it's so American because in America, we are always in this mindset of go, go, go. You're
Right.
always on your way
On the
to
go.
something. You're always
Food
in a
is
rush.
incidental.
Yeah, it's usually usually what you're heading to is work of some sort. So you're just rushing for that. So yeah, I eat and drink in my car a lot, which reminds me that I need to get my car detailed right now. And then I also eat in my bed because
You eat in your bed?
but well,
Controversial.
okay, yeah. Let me caveat. Like I said, I live in a studio apartment, so my bed is my couch.
Okay. That's
My
fair.
bed is my couch, and it is in front of the TV. I have nowhere else to like sit that's like a comfortable sitting place. So I eat in front of the TV. I don't know about you guys, but I do. And that was not allowed in my household at all. Not allowed. Like we never had, even we have like a nice table. It's sort of in our living room. And my parents were just completely opposed to ever serving dinner in front of a TV or movie.
Oh, I love that.
But I do it. I do it all the time. But I live in a studio, guys. Like, what do you
Yeah,
want
no,
from me?
no.
I'm
no
guilty
judgment.
of the eating while working. That's like,
Yeah, same.
And that.
That's
of
really
course.
bad.
I'm usually eating with the computer
yeah,
open.
me too.
Yeah, so I'm gross. Hi, I'm American. Yeah, okay. And then I was going to talk about, just because we didn't talk about it very much, a Mexican custom that my family really embraces is, okay, so something I find about Mexican Americans especially is like they just bring the party wherever they are. Like they're
Yes.
always just like the party's happening. And it doesn't, what's really cool about that culturally is it's, if you're going to throw a party and like have drinks, have food, have a great time, it never has to be in like a officially party environment. Like Mexicans in the US like will throw parties in like public parks.
Mhm.
And, like they'll tailgate. You guys all live in LA, so you know
Right.
on 4th of July and New Year's Eve, who's partying the hardest, who's doing all the fireworks? It's Mexicans. So my family, and again, it's my mother's father who's the Mexican one. Since as long as I've been alive, he's always been really good about, he loves like portable coolers. And if no matter where we're
Love
going, there's always like a cooler he has with like beers,
Yeah.
cheese and crackers and snacks. And it's like we usually end up like busting that out in like wherever,
That's
wherever we
amazing.
go. And so something my family is like known for, and we always talk about this because on my mom's side, we have a really big family. Like I have a lot of cousins. And whenever we have a family reunion or something, we usually all stay in like a cheap hotel. Like it could be like a Holiday Inn or whatever. We always take over the like common area or like lobby of the hotel. Like that's where we hang out, like a place where it's just like kind of shitty like tables and chairs. And that's where we hang out until like 1 or 2 in the morning.
I'm sure the
And
hotel
it's-
loves
yeah.
it.
Oh, they love us.
Nobody loves a rec room more than brown people.
Literally
I've
that.
had so like I
Yeah.
think every brown culture
Usually
is
it's like the
this is what
lobby
this is
or like
for.
common area, but if even better if they have like a multi-purpose room that's
Exactly.
like somewhere down a hall where we can just like close
Yeah.
it and have it be our space. And like everything's like of course DIY. We bring our own stuff, booze, snacks, whatever, and yeah, we just park ourselves there. And that's every family gathering. Every time we have a hotel, that's what we do.
I love
love
that
that.
so much. It reminds me of, I went to Bruges in Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
and they have these boat rides down the canals. And I remember I was watching, there was a French boat where the tour guide speaks in French, and everyone was just like silent with their arms crossed. And then the Spanish speaking boat went by, and everyone was like, ah! And I was like, I want to be on that boat.
Oh my God, I love it.
Living life,
Yeah.
I love that.
Live, laugh, yell.
Live.
That's what they
Live,
say.
laugh, la 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 la. That's our world market merch.
Okay, and then an Arab custom that obviously runs deep, deep, deep in my veins is that I love a mall.
Yeah.
I love being
Ooh.
at the mall. I love hanging out at the mall. And you know what's funny? I'm not even a shopaholic. Like I don't go to the mall to buy bags and bags of stuff. Like I just want to be there. And like the same way that like Arabs just love to like sit. They love to just sit in a public place.
Yeah.
They do.
They're like, I'm here now. So I, especially since I moved to LA, like the malls are aplenty, guys. Like you never run out of malls. Obviously I'm biased to my favorite mall, the Century City Westfield Mall.
Yeah.
Because you can be inside, you can be outside, you can sit on those swinging chairs. It's incredible.
The Anthropology is a museum.
Yeah. It's just so beautiful in there. So I love to just chill at malls. And I don't know if you guys saw my TikTok I made where I was like, I said something like, to the people who think Jews and Arabs can never coexist, like, have you ever been to the Grove?
Yes.
Because the Grove is truly like the melting pot of America. It's where everyone comes together to be as one.
You know,
and I think
theory, I mean, a mall is basically a Medina, and Arabs live at the Medina. It's the same. I love, as someone from New Jersey and an Arab, hard relate to the
Sign
mall.
off. Yeah.
Out in these souks.
I'm so glad we're in a US city where we have such a choice too. Like, it's not just there's one mall in the town. Like, we can go, the world is our oyster. It really is.
The Grove, a perfect mall. I go there once a week.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was like, I'm surprised I haven't run into you, because I'm there a lot too.
Yeah.
Again, not my favorite mall, but the closest one to usually where I am. So
There's a trolley.
yeah,
I mean,
Right. It feels like Disneyland light to me every time I go, but it is nice. I love anywhere I can cross the street without looking both ways.
Also, in the farmer's market at the Grove, it's Vegas rules. Like, you can order a drink and then just walk around the farmer's market. And I highly recommend a day of doing that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, ladies, my boyfriend has his birthday there every year.
Wait, like a walking around the mall birthday?
He literally, he has it. There's a little bar at the farmer's market, and we invite all our friends. And then we all just like
That
get
sounds like a lot of
snacks
fun.
and we like walk around. We do a shopping montage at the end. It's very
Oh
fun. You're
my
all invited.
God.
Yeah.
And
All
And then
the
you all
podcast
drunk
listeners.
ride the trolley for a quarter of a mile down the lane.
Oh my
It's
God.
a ride.
Oh my
I
goodness.
love it.
So
That's really
Cleopatra was the queen of luxury. Is there a bougie item that you never skimp on?
You guys know me. You know I'm the queen of the Erewhon smoothies. And here's one important point that I wanted to make. I'm a smoothie gal everywhere. I love Creation smoothies. I love Jamba Juice smoothies. And I love Erewhon. Yes, smoothies are expensive when you think about the fact that you're paying a certain amount of money just for a cup of like liquid. But counterpoint, smoothies are actually a cheap alternative to like a lunch, because when I have a smoothie in the middle of the day, it kind of counts as a meal because it usually is more like filling enough to like get you through lunch. So Erewhon's obviously another story. Those are $17. Like, you can get a lunch for $17. But I love going to Creation, and I'll get like a $10 smoothie, and that'll fill me up for like half the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't know, guys. $10 smoothie or like $15 sandwich. I actually think I'm playing the long game here. I'm saving money.
Smoothies also healthier ingredients than a sandwich, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So-
Although my sister's like the really healthy one in our family. Like, she was vegan for a long time, and she's just very good with her food. I didn't know. Did you guys know that when you blend ingredients like fruits and vegetables, they actually lose all their nutrients?
Oh, no.
really?
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Lose or just it's significantly diminished?
Like, significantly diminished. So like if you have a peach, banana, strawberry smoothie and it's blended, that is, even if you don't add sugar or anything, that is much less healthy than having like peaches, bananas, and strawberries in a bowl.
Why?
How does that work?
That doesn't, like, what are they, like, our
Where are they
teeth are our
going?
teeth are breaking down the cell walls. Why is
My Arab parents live all the way across the country. I can't have a fresh plate of fruit every
No.
day. I need mom and dad for that.
The immigrant pastime of not apologizing to you, but passive aggressively giving you a plate of freshly cut fruit as
Right.
as an apology.
exactly as an offering?
Did you have I had so much freshly cut fruit as like I feel like we would sit and watch TV and my dad would just be slicing fruit, and that was like my entire childhood, like watching The Simpsons.
If you don't
and
have
eating
at least
pears.
7 types of fruit in your house at all
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
it's not an Arab house.
I didn't have as much as you, but back to my Syrian grandma, like whenever we were visiting her, it's like breakfast, there's a plate of fruit. Lunch, there's a plate of fruit. After dinner, fruit.
so
Right,
yeah,
much.
that's real.
It's never just bananas. It's always like there's pomegranate, bananas, oranges,
Watermelon.
apples, honeydew, watermelon, and
Yep.
and grapes. Did I
Yep.
say grapes? Grapes. And I'm like, what? How many do you think we're gonna eat all? I mean, yeah.
I
so
just found my first set ever filmed and watched it, and
Brave,
I have
brave,
I
brave,
know,
brave.
I know.
Woe is me.
My jokes are worse, but my body is better.
No way.
But there's a joke I have about how when I met my grandma, I was like talking to my English speaking cousin, and she put like an orange like in my hand, and then I like ate it, and then I'm like talking to my cousin, and suddenly there's like another orange in my hand.
that's so
It just
funny.
like slices of orange just kept
appearing.
Yeah,
That was
very
a really
sweet.
like true to yourself thing to talk about on stage so early on.
My set was like pretty okay.
Right.
The performance could have used some work. And I also had a joke about how like all Arabs live in like a genie bottle. That probably
Yeah.
probably could be stricken
Everyone
from the record.
has to go back and cancel themselves for
Yeah.
one thing they've
Yeah.
said during one of their first 5 open
Yeah.
mics.
I dare you to resurrect that for
I was thinking,
Netflix is a joke. Hilarious
Oh my
Habibis.
god.
I was thinking about posting the whole thing and just being like, "Whoop, there it is."
Yeah.
Whoop. There it was. My God. And now it is time for a segment called Dig Deep. This is where we ask the deep questions. The first question is Liz Taylor famously played Cleopatra in the 1963 film. If your life were a crossover of 2 TV shows or 2 films, what would they be and who would play you? This can be energetic. It doesn't have to be like an actual woman playing you, but and it doesn't have to be plot specific. It can also just be like what the vibes are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of my favorite movies ever is Mulholland Drive. I don't know if you guys have seen,
Yeah.
but I am a David Lynch stan. I'm currently watching Twin Peaks again. I love Mulholland Drive. If you haven't seen it, it's a very kind of surrealist, almost fantastical mystery thriller about LA and Hollywood and actresses. And I don't know about you guys, but I love when movies are set in LA because
Yeah.
I feel like whenever people make movies set in LA, they really understand what LA actually feels like and
Right.
not what everyone else thinks it is. Because at its core, LA is kind of like a spooky city, and it's
Right.
a little weird because it was built so recently, and obviously the Hollywood stuff is like always interesting. So
Right.
I love a movie set in LA because I feel like it always masters that like LA spook. I call the genre LA spook.
Mhm.
So Mulholland Drive is like peak LA spook.
Right. Well, there's
Um,
also like roots in LA noir. Like
Yes,
film noir
exactly,
is like
and I
super
love that.
rooted in yeah.
So I love that movie, and I would love for there to be a version of that movie about stand-up comics instead of about actresses.
Mm.
Because like I know the two worlds are different, but I would love to see like a almost glammed up like sexy version of like what it's like to pursue comedy. Because it's like even though it's two very different worlds, it ultimately boils down to the same kind of themes. Like, what does it take for the industry to accept you? Like, who do you need to schmooze with to like get people to like you? Like, how cutthroat like the business is. So if there could be like a blend of Mulholland Drive and like the TV show Crashing,
Yes.
I would love that. And it's like instead of like the scenes where they show the actresses auditioning, like
Mhm.
they're showing like an open mic.
Right, yeah.
And then there's like a sinister like caricature of a man who's like an evil booker who's like,
Yeah.
no.
Hollywood.
/ not so caricature.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Got a writer for you.
Ashing cigarettes in the corner.
Yeah.
That's funny. Mine was Crashing meets Suits. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Mm.
Yeah. I would love that. And if someone were to play me, it would obviously be Bella Hadid. I'm just kidding. No,
Clearly.
I don't think I would be Bella. I would love to be Gigi Hadid
Yeah.
because also half Arab queen, me and my sister. My sister's the tall one, and she has more of a Bella body. I feel very Gigi. Also, my name's Gena.
Right.
So I feel like I could be Gigi Hadid. I have the round face and I'm slightly shorter. And also Gigi Hadid's like pretty funny. I've seen her in some
She
like
is.
reality clips.
Yeah.
I feel like she could carry that movie, guys.
I agree. And she also did the voiceover role in Never Have I Ever.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she played sort of
Cool.
the internal monologue of one of the characters. And I also like that her voice is a lower register because she's such like a beautiful, effeminate person.
Yeah.
But then what's nice about a lower register voice, obviously I'm biased, is it also embodies this sort of masculine. She has a lot of character and same with Charlize Theron. She has like a lower voice. There's something about a really, really pretty person that then when they also like talk like this, you want to dismiss them a little bit,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I think that'd be great. I love that casting for you and I love this idea.
Yay,
Yeah.
let's sell
Cosign.
it.
I love
Let's
it.
do it.
Yeah. Okay,
Next
so the next question is Cleopatra had a storied legacy as a scholar, a politician. I also like to throw in beauty queen. What would you like your legacy to be? And also, what would you like your epitaph to read?
It's funny because similar to Cleopatra, I would love to be remembered as someone who did a lot of different things. And I think that's kind of rare in like the community we're in because I know a lot of stand-up comics who are just so obsessed with stand-up as an art form, which is great. Like it's great to be so passionate about one thing and like their goals are almost entirely evolve around stand-up comedy, being on certain stages, touring, releasing a special, releasing an album, and like that's their niche and they just want to be comedians on a stage. And even though I love stand-up so much, like I came out here, I started pursuing stand-up to kind of get into other things as well. So like I'd love to be remembered as a bit of a Renaissance woman rather than just one person who did one thing. I would love to be remembered as someone who did stand-up, maybe a little bit of acting too, and writing, and who knows, something else. I'm just kind of go with the flow in that way where wherever this like trajectory takes you, you should kind of just embrace it and seize what opportunities come to you, you know?
We always talk about the IO as the
yeah,
peak career.
totally. And I feel like you, Lynn, are kind of similar to me in that you do so much with like writing as well. And like I know that's a big part of your aspirations. And yeah, I really respect people like that. I really respect people who are like curious about other fields. Because also when you put all your pressure on just one thing, it's like if it doesn't go exactly the way you want it to, it's like that's it.
Okay, so then what would your epitaph read?
Oh gosh, I don't know. How about
Quick, improvise an epitaph.
yeah, because okay, here lies a woman who had it all.
Ooh, very
Oh my
Tina Fey and
goodness.
30 Rock.
I'm really embracing Gigi Hadid.
yeah.
Okay, I love that. That's very important. I also really liked what you said about, and I know that this is not particularly profound at first blush, but going with the flow. I think that's actually a very underrated skill, and it is actually a skill because it involves a lot of surrendering. And I think the
Yeah.
hardest thing, I mean, I'll just speak for myself, is just because what we're doing involves so much. You have to be a booker, a marketer, a producer. You have to be an actor and an editor of your like shorts. You have to be a social media manager. You have to be a writer. You also have to be a performer. You have to be a networker. There's so many things. You feel like everything is in your control or has to be in your control. And a hard part for me is also being more open about just like things that are beyond my control and having a little more faith and a little more receptiveness to opportunities and people. Because I zero in on something I think I should have or should want and then think like my life's going to be over if I don't get there.
Yeah.
You know, and I do love this idea of staying open.
Yeah.
I've always had a really hard time, a really easy time, I should say, with New Year's resolutions where I'm always like, I want this.
Exactly.
And then this year I was like, I don't even know what I want. So I decided my resolution was to follow what feels good. And it's been really nice because it's like Habibis feels good. This podcast feels good. Stand-up clips don't feel good for me. So I'm not going to chase that. And I think that's okay. I started doing improv again and it feels good. And it does not align with my like long-term goals, but it feels good. Yeah. So I'm going to do it.
Do what feels good. Is this why you get 2 massages a day?
Yep. It feels good, Christy.
Just kidding.
Yeah. And you probably feel more, when you feel more relaxed about what you're doing and what you're trying to pursue, that's when I think you really start to shine as like an artist, because when you're in your head about everything, it's going to make your comedy harder. It's going to make your performance harder. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like how people always say, if you are single and you're trying to find someone, almost the best thing you can do sometimes is to not be actively looking for someone. Because weirdly, that's when people come. Because you're just you're in a relaxed state, you're being yourself, you are not structuring like who you are and like what you're trying to project to the world in any particular way. And then people see you for who you are and you're like, oh, something great just happened. So I think it's the same.
We have another question. The ancient Egyptians very famously were buried with their treasures. If you could take something into your sarcophagus, what would it be?
An Erewhon smoothie. No, just kidding. Well, that was on my list for a separate question when you guys were asking
the luxury question.
The luxury item.
Okay.
There's not much else to say about that, but no, for the sarcophagus question, so my dad, when I was super, super young, I'm not a very big possessions person. Like I throw stuff out like really easily. I'd rather just have.
Okay, Marie Kondo.
Yeah, literally, I'd rather have like a lot less crap around me. I find it very overstimulating. Yeah. And like my boyfriend's like the opposite. He's like, I have this, picture frame that was given to me by so-and-so. And then I framed my first check that I got as a TV writer. And then I have this article of clothing that like is sentimental to me because of so-and-so, whatever. So I was looking around my house and like, I don't really have possessions that I treasure as like, oh my God, I would need this somewhere. But I do have one thing that has stayed with me throughout the years. I have this stuffed animal of a bulldog that I had when I was super, super young. And the reason I've kept it so long is because there was a story of my father when we were on vacation. I think we went to Italy. This was before my sister was born. Me, my dad, and my mom. I left the stuffed animal in the hotel room. And then we left. We drove away. And we were, I think, like an hour away. And then I told them that I forgot it. And my dad was like, we're turning around and we're getting it. So like any other item I probably would have thrown away at this point. But I've had it forever. It's still in my bed because, yeah. He turned around, got me my stuffed animal.
Yeah. Did you ever see that? It was like a very happy news story, and it was about a girl like left her stuffed animal in a hotel, and the hotel did a photo shoot of the stuffed animal in different places and put it on their Instagram to like find its owner, and then she got it.
Oh, she got it back.
Yeah,
cool.
It was so cute.
It's like the gnome in Amelie.
Yes. One of my favorite movies.
Oh my
I feel like you could also be, if not Gigi, Audrey Tattoo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people tell me all the time that that's my twin.
That's a great doppelganger for you.
Twin.
Whimsical, beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, I would love to be buried with that stuffed animal. And also, if I die and I'm buried anywhere,
Sorry, if I die, she might not die.
She might not. She hasn't yet. So
I would love for someone to put some really great press-on nails onto my hand so I can be carefully resting with like a fierce French manicure.
You could actually put that in your will.
I think I can,
so that
right?
When people,
I was going to say, because we're going to be doing Habibis until we're 122, which is the age Arab women live till, I'll make sure that the press-ons make it. And we will do a Habibis at all our funerals.
Okay. Thank
A
you,
good
Mom.
old roast.
Yeah.
Gena B. Jones, that is the end of our episode. We are so grateful that you have shared your beautiful self and your story with us. Is there anything you'd like to promote?
Thank you guys. This was so much fun. I'm glad I got to finally be on. So obviously, Hilarious Habibis, we have our show coming up February 29th at Kinrose Creamery in Pasadena. We also want to promote our show for Netflix is a Joke May 5th at the Hollywood Improv. And then I also want to say that I am headlining my first club, which I'm really scared and nervous about. I just got to start promoting it now. So May 26th, Mic Drop Comedy Club in San Diego. And yeah, so those are 3 dates coming up.
All right, everybody, that has been our podcast. If you like us, please don't forget to rate and subscribe, just because it helps us gain more momentum and get more guests and
Spread more stories.
Yeah, so please do that. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate you helping get the word out. We can't wait to share another story with you on the next episode. Until then, I've been Christy Bana.
I'm Lynn Molly.
I'm Gena B. Jones. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.